Dear student, kindly subscribe my channel and hit the bell icon so that you can get notified whenever I upload a new video. In this video we are going to sculpt ear. We are going to see how we can sculpt them, how we can put them at the right position, and how we can create the right orientation. So here I am using this model. Again, the by default one, you can go to Lightbox, open this and double click on it, and then go to geometry and turn on dynamics, and then you can just smooth out. Basically, dynamics can smooth those things and get rid of the ear by default here, so that we can start sculpting our ear. Okay, here the first thing, the first question is where the ear needs to be, where the position would be. So there are some pretty good, pretty cool rules and guidelines. So if you draw a line on this nose bottom area, draw a straight line, and then draw a line somewhere on just the eyebrow, and draw the on the end part of the eyebrow, draw a line there. So this would be the height of the ear. So this would be somewhere, the ear would be something like this. But now we don't know where it needs to be in this direction. So again, there is a pretty good rule for that, guideline for that. We can put this face inside a box like this. Okay, something like this. Just put that hair inside a box. Okay, now if I just cross this thing to get the center point, just roughly, the ear needs to be put a little bit back. So now I got the center point here, so the ear needs to be somewhere here. So now I know the height of the ear and then the position, something like this. Okay, so we're going to do that. I'm going to clear these lines. Let me turn off the perspectivity. Okay, once we know that it needs to be in this line, we can actually use these Zbrush guidelines here. We can use those, but let me first create the base. That needs to be somewhere here. So I'm going to use my, let's mask this area. Hold Control and mask. I'm creating a D shape, small D shape here like this, and I'm going to inverse it by holding Control and click outside. Okay, let's use the move brush, and I'm going to pull that out. Again, don't worry, we can place this here by using those guidelines once we have this thing. So just pull this out, and we are going to pull this back a little bit forward, and then basically we are going to rotate it. So I'm going to use my rotate. So hold Alt and move this. If you hold Alt and move, it's just gonna move this manipulator or gizmo. Okay, now I'm going to put this here, maybe in this direction, somewhere here, and then I'm going to rotate it, move it like this, so that I get a shape like this. Maybe it's a little too much. I'm gonna rotate it like this. Okay, something like this, a basic shape like this. Okay, now I'm going to guide those using those guidelines. Basically, let's first actually create that base shape here. I'm going to hold Control and drag to remesh the dynamics mesh. I want to smooth it. So here I'm using a low resolution, maybe a little bit. Let's decrease it. At first, you just need to focus on the proportion and the scale and the big stuff. Don't jump into the details and start sculpting the ear immediately. So the first thing is we are going to get the proportion and the orientation right. So when I say orientation, I'm talking about these things. If you go to front view, the ear needs to have this angle. The ear is never straight. That means it's going to be like this. Okay, if we go to the side view, the same thing. So now we have a straight ear, which is not the case. Actually, we need to have a angle like this. That means the ear needs to be in this direction like this. Okay, so these are two orientation from these two angles. Make sure we have this orientation. Now I'm going to adjust it. From the front view I have it, but if I go to the side view, it's straight. So I'm going to kind of move these things to get that angle. Now I'm not worried about the proper height of the ear. We are going to do that. So this is just the actually middle part of the ear. So this is not the full ear. So once we have this, then we can actually sculpt the helix of the ear. When I say helix, I'm talking about this shape here. So we can just you can see how it simplified this is. We have few shapes here, and this part is the helix part. We are going to do that. Let me put this here so that I can look at it. Okay, now I'm going to use my clay tube or clay build-up, anything like that, and now I'm going to sculpt it. Basically trying to put, let's use the clay build-up instead. So again, nothing very special here, just putting that helix shape, giving that volume here like this. And this needs to go in. From the front view it should go in. That means this area should actually go in, create a kind of twisted effect. Again, I'm not worried about all those details. Okay, here I'm going to check the overall height of the ear by using these Zbrush lines, these boundary lines. So if I set that to the eyebrow line, this ear top needs to be exactly on that line. And now I'm going to move this. While you do these things, make sure your perspectivity is off so that there is no perspective destruction. So here you can see I need to put this line here at the bottom of the nose, and the ear bottom should touch that. Now we got the overall height of the ear, and now we have the angle as well. From this angle we have the angle. Okay, something like this. From the front view I'm going to move this. So getting the overall flow is also very important. Here you can see the flow of the ear from the back side. So the back side is a little bit tricky. You can see we have this base here and then the helix here. So getting this overall proportion is the flow I should say, that is very important. I'm going to move it and try to get that flow. Here we need to have that shape there. So I'm going to use my dam standard to push this area of the head so that we have this gap here, and I'm going to move this. Again, as you can see, I'm not thinking about any details at this stage. I'm only thinking about how we can get that overall flow of the ear right, the proportion right, and the orientation and the scale, the big things. Once we crack those, and then we can jump to detail the secondary forms. So right now I'm at the proportion and proportion phase. So once I get the proportions right, then I can jump to the primary forms sculpting. So you can see we have this shape here. So now the body goes a little bit inside there, the head. So there is this shape. Okay, now we can also move this a little bit outside to get a bit more room in that area. Okay, something like this. And very blocking. Okay, get this back side right, because most of the people don't get it right at the back end. The back side is actually most tricky area. So here you can see we have this part of the ear and then this kind of ball. So that's what I'm trying to get here, something like this. And we need to push this in, as there's a kind of height here, you can see. So always have a lot of reference images when you do this. Okay, now I'm going to maybe get that flow here. Again, not very serious about all those details at this stage. Okay, so once we are done with this proportion, we have this height set to the actual guidelines. Okay, let me hold control and drag to recreate. Okay, now I'm going to actually create the primary forms. When I say the primary forms, I'm talking about these big forms. So now this is the helix part here. Then there is a part we can just simplify the whole ear. Ear looks very complex, but we can simplify it. And then I'm going to start sculpting it roughly. So let's use maybe damp standard and clay build up. Let's use clay build up and push this area. Obviously I don't have a lot of polygons at this stage. I don't need that. I'm going to get those basic shapes first. So I'm pushing all these points here, smooth everything, smooth these things. We're pushing and creating this overall shape. Control drag to recreate the polygons. From the back side, that looks fine. And I'm going to create this helix shape first. So let's just sculpt that shape like this. And this shape from this front angle, it should go inside, so I need to move it and have that kind of angle. Let's check some image from the front, overall front view. You can see this shape here going inside, it's going out. Obviously you need to define this area. Let's go in. To smooth this stuff here. Just roughly. Okay, I think that's fine. And here I'm trying to get this shape, so it should go in, and then let's move these things even further in, creating this shape. And now I'm going to sculpt the other form here. You can see the next this green color form here, this area. I'm going to put some volume there. Again, that form is something like this, and we can just draw the form here and then we can come back and refine it like this. Control drag to recreate polygon. At this stage I think I need to increase the resolution a little bit, so now I'm going to dynamics and increase the resolution maybe to 100 or something. So when you sculpt and do anything in Zbrush, it's better to work gradually. I mean, start with low resolution and do the big stuff, the proportion adjustment and the overall shape adjustment, the rhythm, and once you got those, and then you can increase the resolution and then go for the primary forms, secondary forms. Okay, now I can use dance standard as well to draw the shapes. You can draw these contour lines and then refine. That's another way. You can just draw the shapes like this, like you draw on a paper. Just draw the shapes from the side view and then we can refine those. So let's push these things in. Still struggling because we don't have a lot of polygon at this stage. So here in this area I believe I need to inflate and get a little bit volume here. So wherever you feel like it's a little bit thin, you can use inflate brush to inflate the shape, something like this. So you can see we're getting somewhere slowly. So we can use this inflate brush to give these things a little bit volume, and I'm going to push this thing, refine this thing, this part of this helix, push these things in. Okay, here I'm going to maybe round this top a little bit. Okay, let's use the dam standard to refine this line. Okay, I'm gonna use more resolution here. Let's control drag and we can smooth it a little bit. Still I'm looking for big shape changes, and here you can see this helix shape is coming somewhere here, so we can draw with the dam standard, refine those lines. As I said, you can draw like you draw on a paper and then we can refine those shapes. Something like this. So I'm gonna get that overall shape. Maybe we can move these things. So here this shape is kind of hanging a little bit and then going something like this, and there is a Y shape here. So at this stage we are working on the primary form shape, and still I'm working and looking at the overall proportion as well, because without a proper proportion it's not going to look good. It doesn't matter if you have a lot of details, that doesn't matter. So I'm going to push these things in a bit. Okay, that's good. And drag to recreate. So with dynamics you can just freely sculpt and then control drag to recreate the resolution, so you will get a good distribution of polygons everywhere. So there's this shape like this, something like this. So I need to get that. Oh, I need to use my move brush and pull that like this. From the front view we can pull this kind of outward. Okay, something like this, and this shape tends to sometimes go outside than this backside part, and from this angle we need to refine this thing. So you can see this part needs to be refined properly. You can see we're getting there slowly. Can refine this, and the ear hole is somewhere here, so we need to fill this area. The hole is not here, it's somewhere here. Control drag to recreate and fill this area with, creating the hole there. Okay, now I'm going to create that Y shape. So let's use my damn standard, the big brush size. You can just do something like this. Okay, so let's check some other images, and here is not totally catalyzed, so it tends to differ the shapes. So there isn't a particular shape. Every person has unique ears, so you need to look at your reference image, your concept image, and try to do that. You can see we can refine this thing here. Okay, now starting to look okay at this stage. Still we can refine it, and here this shape, this shape needs to go in. So as you can see here, this shape is kind of going forward, and there should be a halo inside there. So I'm trying to get that at this stage. So I'm going to maybe use my inflat and inflate that area, holding alt, inflating that area to get that shape form. When you do this, make sure it doesn't affect this side, because it's too close to that side face. Your brush can affect that side. If that happens, you can go to brush and turn on your auto masking. You can go to auto masking and turn on the back face mask option. If that happens, that okay, so let's push these things in holding alt. So this defineness is very important. You need to define this area. People tend to miss it, so having this kind of carved in shape is very important here, to get a realistic look. And look at the ear from different angle, and let me move this. We can use the no inflat using alt here as well, so just to push these things in. So very good brush for refinement here at this area. Okay, here you can see some I'm starting to look at secondary forms. You can see the shape changes here, and this shape is not this shape and this shape is not on a single plane. That means they are way outside, and we can just push this thing. Maybe I can use standard cross as well to get this kind of secondary forms. You can see we can put some volume here, and get that no secondary forms there, something like this, but it's very smooth, so you may not notice it. Something like this maybe, and let me use my inflight again at this area to refine that, push that in. Okay, now from the front view you can see this form is going a little bit to that area. I can see it's starting to look refined. And what else you can do, you can again refine this area. Let's bring this line somewhere here, refine the back. Something like this maybe. Yeah, I think it looks okay right now. So from the side view we need to check the overall shape, and I think we need to adjust it. Now it looks like being pointed here, we don't have this overall shape, right? So I'm going to pull these things outside a bit to get the overall shape. Again, these things depends on person to person. So as you can see, this ear is a little bit different than this ear. So at the end you need to stick to a single image and do that, otherwise you will be continuously adjusting the ear with different image. So maybe we are creating a generic ear here, we are not doing a specific ear. So from the front view you need to look at the shape, Okay, now I'm going to check it with this back sides. Maybe we need to push these things in a little bit. I think this base needs to come down a bit, so I'm going to move. Let's use move, or let's use clay build up and push this area a bit with damn standard, maybe with move as well. Okay, something like this, so we can smooth it. And then I'm going to increase the resolution, and then we are going to start refining it even more. So increase it, control drag to create. Okay, we need to smooth it, hold shift and smooth the overall ear. Now we have a little bit more polygons to work with. Let me smooth everything. So now we have covered the base proportion, and then we did the primary forms and maybe a little bit secondary forms as well. So you can break all those big primary forms into smaller forms. You can add some small forms inside the big forms, and those forms are called secondary forms. I'm going to use my damn standard here again, refining these shapes. Maybe we can refine this inside part a bit using alt with the inflight brush. Maybe I can increase the intensity a little bit, as this thing needs to go in. Okay, make sure it doesn't cross that thing, that side. And I'm going to push these things. So at this stage we're going to look at the ear very closely and try to find forms, try to see the lighting on the image, which will help you find the forms. As you can see, I can see these forms because of the light. So I can see these forms, the carved in shape like this. Okay, that's good. I'm going to smooth these things. Control. Okay, so still continuously adjusting these shapes. I'm going to use dance standard with inflat. Okay, now it looks a little bit better, and we can refine this area a little bit. Okay, that's good. And maybe I'm looking at the overall here. Here you can see this, we have a kind of pointed shape, and here it's a little bit carved, smooth carved shape. So I'm going to try to get that. So at this stage I'm going to look at this single image. Otherwise I'll keep adjusting with different image. So as I said earlier, every year is different. So here I'm going to use in flat, maybe with a little bit less intensity, and kind of inflating this area using maybe alt to refine this. This refinement stage is actually very important. So the more time you spend, your ear will be more refined and good looking. So here I'm going to push that area to get that form. So getting this kind of secondary forms are crucial. You can see that form, and we need to define this shape. We don't have that right now, so I'm going to use my dance standard, refine this area so that the ear connection part is defined, at least till this area, and then we can smooth that. Okay, something like that. And then I'm going to push this area in a little bit in, and then this is out. On the front view you can see that clearly, and maybe refining this inside part. Okay, smooth any unnecessary shapes. You can still see that cylinder kind of shape there, so I'm going to try to get that. Okay, now I'm looking at let's actually create that hull. Let me use my clay build up, and I think that's fine for now. Maybe a little bit bigger. Trace the polygons. You need to control drag so that it redistribute. Okay, at this stage I'm looking at, we can refine this area a bit. This area is not refined now. just refine that area, and I think we are close to done here. Maybe let me check the back side. Okay, we need to refine this. Here you can see this line, the overall flow. Now we have a straight line like this, so from this angle it's not going to look good, so we don't have that flow, that form. So we can have that by just adjusting this shape from this angle. So you can see we can just do this and then adjust it like this, maybe then adjust it something like this actually. So you get the front view silhouette as well. You can see the silhouette here, and from this angle as well. So I'm going to refine this, maybe using dam standard, refine these lines. Refine this shape here. Can give some secondary forms to this area as well. Something like this. Okay, let me use my dam standard to refine this line. And here I can use in flat and give some form. Okay, I think that's fine. So let's select, check this image. We can do one thing, we can kind of drag, pull these areas a little bit. So you can see it's kind of very sharp there. So what we can do, we can use pinch. You can use pinch brush and with a modifier setting. Let me go to modifiers and increase this modifier value from 20 to somewhere 90, 95. So what it's gonna do, usually pinch kind of creates sharp lines by pinching those shapes, but if you increase that modifier, it's also going to pull outside of the mesh and works like a standard brush or something like that. So it's going to do both, it's going to pinch and pull those points. So that's what I'm trying to do, pull those points while I'm pinching those. I get a little bit sharp line there. Okay, maybe not that sharp. I guess we're fine with this. We can increase the resolution a little bit more and then drag and smooth. I'm gonna smooth everything, holding the shift. Let's smooth everything. Maybe I can work on this area a little bit. So let's use in flat, maybe push these things in. Okay, something like this, maybe smooth a little bit. So I can use my standard as well, just to refine that area. Refining this area, pushing that, and so you can use standard brush to create the secondary forms. Okay, something like this maybe. We can refine this shape a little bit, so let's use inflat and refine this area. You can also use pins with that modified setting. Now we can push this in. It's going to work better. Push these things in. Maybe we can use inflat here. Create that inflat shape. Obviously we need to smooth this area. Now I'm looking at the overall form, overall shape. Let's check. And let's check the overall height. Maybe I'm aligning that nose end to this line again to check it. Okay, that's fine. Not a big problem. And at this area we can actually move the ear a little bit upward. It seems like a little bit off, or it should be somewhere close to the eyebrow. So what I'm going to do, I'm gonna use move and pull this up a little bit. So the overall height is now fine, the position is okay, and I think I'm happy with the result. So let's call it end, and I'm going to see you in a new video. Kindly subscribe my channel and hit the bell icon to get notified whenever I upload a new video. See you in a new video. Bye.